Hey Garf Gang, and welcome to Path of Exile video. Today I'm going to go through my first meme build, and the first build which I have kind of built 75% by myself. So there's probably mistakes on the tree, there's probably mistakes with the gems, the gear could probably be upgraded. But before I go through this, if you're going to watch the video and you want to do upgrades to the build, and comment below, which I surely hope you would do because I need help, please bear in mind the following limitations. You must have the distillation of flesh jewel in your passive tree. You must have the blood magic passive node on your passive tree. You must be a berserker. No corrupted items. Only 500 chaos to use for upgrades. And if you're a crafter and you're using materials, again that 500 chaos limit applies. So don't go meta modding stuff with multiple X, because that's outside the budget. I'm very well aware that with the extreme amount of currency and corruptions, you can make the damage of this build so much better. I'm not interested in those because that's not access to things I have. So even though I'm in standard league, with those implications in place, let's go through what I've put together. This build is based on a drop I had in standard whilst mapping, which is the Gruthkul's pelt body armour. Other than the quality, it dropped as is, 6 linked with those rolls, and I thought, that'd be a nice idea. So I put it in my tab and just left it alone for about a week. Today, with the heat here in the UK, oh, it's so hot, I thought I can't concentrate on the high level stuff I want to do in standard or in Sentinel, so I just put this build together. So the first thing I did was went looking on PoE Ninja to see what kind of stuff we're dealing with, and there's nothing. This is a level 100 character with the armour on and not much else. It's just a few items for cosmetic effect, I think. And this one again is just the armour attached with loads of spells, which according to the armour you can't use. So that again, I think that's just, if someone goes searching for this armour, they've put them in there to confuse people. So then I hit up the internet, and I've got the search result. Here we go, and found this from 3.11. Very old. So I thought, yeah, that's fine. I grabbed the POB that was linked in here, which still works. Popped it in POB, updated it to 3.18 and set to work. So, which is why I say 75% of this build is my own creation. So from there we'll run through the gear, the gems, and etc, etc. Now I did look in Sentinel softcore, and this build as it sits right now is between 10 and 15x, depending on how the market changes over the next couple of days. I did these price checks about half an hour ago, as of time of recording, so be warned. Gem wise, some of the gear on this character I found in my plethora of stash tabs in standard, so it is quite good, and yeah, we'll go from there. Gems, if the gems are 2020, I had them in a stash tab. If they're not, I brought them from Lily Roth. Then hit Blood Aqueducts, tier 1 maps. I did 10 tier 1 maps, 5 tier 2s, and I'm working through a set of 5 tier 3s. As for my Atlas progression, there it is. I'm 115 to 115 with 2 Void Stones, and the Atlas passive skill tree is here. It's set up for Jun farming, ritual farming with all of the Harby nodes and almost, if not all, of the Essence nodes, and then we've got strong boxes as well, and then loads of stuff blocked. So that's the Atlas passive tree. Let's get into the character. So like I said, we've got Gruthkul's pelt. This is laced with Cyclone, Close Combat, Infused Channeling, Brutality, Rage, and melee Fizz damage. Now bearing in mind with Gruthkul's pelt you have no spells, With the blood magic passive stone thing, you've got no mana, and with the dissolution of flesh duel, you have no energy shield. Go figure that one. Let's go on to the helm. Now this helm I had laying around in my stash, and then I threw some Eldritch currency at it, and that's what I rolled. I looked on Sentinel Softcore and found one. I couldn't find one as good as this, but I found one close for 1.5x without the implicits. Be careful. This is holding our Enduring Cry, and again the gem links are probably, I don't know, at the moment I don't care. Increased duration, increased area effect, and second wind. Down in the boots, again I had these in my stash tab and then threw some Eldritch currency on there. Res wise we are quite good. Chaos res is really low, which is why I stopped at the chaos res there, and cooldown recovery rate is always good. In here holds our Vengeance, which is linked with Maim, Rage and life gain on hit. We've got a Rislatha's belt, which has been qualityed with attack modifiers. We've got a perfectly rolled Tombstone Fist. This goes for about an X on softcore trade. Leap Slam and faster attacks. We've got a Searching Eye Jewel in here for Maim, and a Murderous Eye Jewel in there for our Intimidate. We'll go over to the ring here. I had this in my stash tabs again. It's a Warlord influence ring with increased melee damage, some nice res, a life roll, and crafted fire chaos, as you can see. The axe, the 3.11 build I showed you earlier, I had on screen, had a void axe, so I went looking on standard trade for a void axe that was 6 linked. I picked it up, I scoured it, and I threw some fossils at it, and we ended up with a 300 Fizz DPS weapon, which I then crafted to deal damage. If I take this build seriously, I will definitely be upgrading the weapon, but as it is now, it's fine. Ancestral Warchief, melee Fizz, Brutality, Maim, Conk, and Close Combat. We are using the Ancestral Warchief for bosses, map bosses, essence mobs, harbies, and any rares that are particularly troublesome. Now we're on to flasks. I'll come back to the ring and the amulet in a minute. We've got all these flasks I happen to have in my stash tabs. Again, I have no idea how much they will cost in softcore trade, Sentinel, or if you have some hanging around from your travels in your league adventures. We've got a gain charges when you hit immunity to bleed, life flask, eternal life flask. We've got a granite flask with reduced charges and immunity to ignite. We've got a quartz flask for the phasing, gain 4 charges and immune to freeze and chill. We've got a jade flask because it was the only one I had hanging around with immunity to shock. That's the only reason it's there. Excuse me. And finally, we've got a sulfur flask with immune to poison with max charges, so it can be used twice. Again, all the flasks I happen to have laying around as they are. I've made no changes before I threw them in the build. We'll now go and look at the amulet. Now, there is not one in Sentinel that comes even close to this amulet. The best I could do was one that was half as good, and it was about an NX, so I'm not sure how you replicate this. Probably by getting a better vermilion ring, which I'll show you in a minute. There we go. I anointed the tenacity for this build. It was previously sovereignty. I've not even blessed the implicit. The mana is completely pointless. It is a warlord influence, so we've got 1 increased damage per 15 strength. I've crafted on there increased area effect, increased area damage. It came with a tier 1 intelligence roll, a tier 2 dex roll with plus 11 to all resistances. I've then whacked on a 20% quality of attribute modifiers, which is why it looks like that. And that satisfies 90% of our dex and intelligence attribute requirements. The closest one I could find that came similar had about plus 20 to all attributes, so you can see that there's a good amount of attributes to make up. However, the vermilion ring I had laying in my stash that I was horribly rolled, but a high eye level, I scoured. I then used a 2-slot resonator and pristine fossils and aberrant fossils. I was trying to hit life and chaos resistance. I didn't care about anything else. That's the only 2 rolls I wanted. And I had a plethora of 2-socket resonators, a plethora of life and aberrant fossils. I rolled 20 of them and came up with nothing. The best one I had was plus 3 to max life, but tier 2 chaos res. I rolled over that because plus 3 max life was horrible and I thought I'd get better. I was wrong. I ended up scouring it again and threw an alcor body, and it came up with what I'm about to show you with an intelligence roll. I threw a null at it to make space for a suffix, hit the intelligence, and was able to craft some much needed res, as in chaos res. So laugh at my vermilion ring. It is ridiculous. It's got tier 4 life, tier 1 life gained on kill, and a tier 2 recoup. And then I've crafted fire and chaos res. That ring is atrocious. It needs replacing, and I will replace that if I want to play this build for any meaningful amount of times. But at the moment, it does what it needs to do. It's got a max life roll on there. The damage taken as it recoups his life is quite nice, and it's got some chaos res, which is what I was after. So that's the gem setup. That's all the gear on the character. MTX wise, we are bear helm, bear. We've got huntsman footprints, wrangler weapon effect, and the dragon spear, with my favourite portal in my collection, Imperator apparition portal. On to the passive tree. Please don't laugh. So we've gone berserker. We've taken aspect of carnage, crave the slaughterer, and rite of ruin. Now the 3.11 build was a crit build. I've removed the crit to make it easier on myself. So the 3.11 build did have flawless savagery, and honestly, if I'm going to play this build for any meaningful amount of time, I will probably take it back to crit. But at the moment, it's not. We've gone resolute technique, and so we've taken the Warcry speed and Warbringer, because it's the only other applicable one on here with the 2 points we had left over. So we've come through here for life and armour down to Warrior's Blood. We've gained Heart of Warrior. We've gone Born to Fight up and around for Butchery, through to Barbarism, up to Resolute Technique. Also, the 3.11 build was using a Starforge, and we know how bad that is now. So that was swords. So we've gone axes. So we've come down for Slaughterer, and enemies killed by your hits are destroyed. There's the Dissolution of Flesh, which removes all our energy shield, and it basically takes damage and reserves it, which is why we've got no auras on our life, because we're using Dissolution of Flesh. Another gem that as far as I know, has no use for, so I threw it in this build for the extra life. Yay! We've taken Juggernaut for the armour and the life. We've come down here for Cannibalistic Rite, because everything costs life. And 15% reduced life cost of skills. We've then taken Blood Magic, which is why we have no mana, and all skills cost life, skills reserve life, but like I said, because we're using Dissolution of Flesh, we haven't got any auras. None. No auras at all. We've come down for Call to Arms. We've taken Bloodless with increased max life and reduced life recovery rate. I'll come to the clusters in a moment. We've taken Bastion Breaker with 40% increased fizz damage for skills that cost life. We've come down for Wrecking Ball. Then we've taken Hatchet Master with attacks with axe and swords grant a hit rage. We've come through for Golem's Blood and regenerate 2% of life per second while moving, because Cyclone. We've come up for Destroyer, through to Master of the Arena, Bravery, and finally Art of the Gladiator. We've also come down for Prismatic Skin, and because of the helm of the fizz damage taken as lightning, we took max lightning res first, and when I level up we'll take the fire one because of the implicit we've got, and then we'll take cold last. Here I could have taken Corrupted Blood, but because of our low chaos res I took the elemental resists with chaos res. Mainly for the chaos res, the elemental resists isn't a problem with the gear I have. Now we go down to the clusters. We start off with an 8 passive large cluster jewel for increased fizz damage with Battle Hardened, Force Multiplier and Iron Breaker. That was included in the price I gave earlier for the build, but I had this one laying around. All of these cluster jewels I had laying around, so they didn't cost me anything currency wise. We come through to our first medium cluster, which is Channeling Skills deal 12% increased damage. The implicit is completely pointless because we have no mana. Unwavering Focus, Vital Focus, +2 intellect, intelligence, and regenerate 0.15% of life per second. This then goes into a 2 passive skill max life with Surging Vitality, max life, and +2 to intelligence. We then go for the second medium cluster skill, which again is a Channeling Skills do 12% increased damage with again Unwavering Focus and Vital Focus. The reason why we've got those is because Unwavering Focus gives you 50% chance to avoid being stunned while channeling. We have 2, we're immune to stun. Also it does 30% increased damage. And then Vital Focus gives us the regeneration of our life while channeling as well. So effectively, while we're channeling, or what I found so far with this character is whilst I'm channeling Cyclone, I can't be killed. With Dissolution of Threat taking all the damage as reserve, your life goes down, and after, if you don't get hit for 4 seconds, it gets removed, you hit Warcry and you're done. I just had to take a drink, sorry about that. Our other more small cluster is another increased life gem with Fettle, max life, dex and chaos resist. So that puts us up to level 82. I didn't level this character. This character was my old Berserker character, which I deleted some time ago. I sent an email to GGG asking them for them to retrieve it. Because they can retrieve any deleted character as long as you know the league it was deleted, the level and the ascendancy. They're generally able to find it for you and retrieve it for you into the league it was deleted from. So I asked them, it was level 80. I've done 2 levels by doing Blood Aqueducts tier 1, 10 tier 1s, 5 tier 2s and 2 tier 3s. So that's the build. That's the passive tree, that's the skills. Shall we throw in a tier 3 map? I'm not rolling the maps because the idea is to basically, I'm doing these low level ones, A, because of the 300 DPS axe, and B, we're trying to get some levels on our gems and stuff, and hitting a King Harby in a tier 1 map on this character was not fun. So again, no auras, so we use our Leap Slam straight into Harby, we drop the and there you can see the Dissolution of Flesh taking effect, and there it comes. So we hit the Warcry, boom, done, pick up the Scout Report, off we go. I usually leap slam into the packs to get the stun, and you can see the gems there leveling up, which is nice. As I've only got 2 stones in standard, I don't have all tier 16 maps, which is why you're seeing the low level maps drop. Ooh, level up gem. Drop the thingy. Quick scan, there we go. More alteration orbs, lovely, lovely. We've got so much attack speed on this character that our Leap Slam is ridiculously fast. Another Harby. Bleed is our enemy on this character. I'm going to pick up that to help us out a bit. There we go. Regal Shards, nice. bleed. I have found that's the one big weakness of this character is bleed, so I'm constantly having my finger hovering over a life flask. I know I could probably get immunity to bleed by investing in currency, but at the moment I don't want to invest too much because honestly I don't know A, if I'm going to like the build at higher levels, or B, what will happen in 3.19. So we'll wait for patch notes, hashtag wait for patch notes, copium truck for 3.19, and then I will decide at that point whether I'm going to invest any more in this character or whether it even works. Oh, that'll make up for the currency I spent on the character. Yay! It is a bit slow unless I'm leap slamming, but you know, we lose a lot of movement speed for Cyclone, so this character could do with what's the word? Trying to think of it. Headhunter. But I've only got one, and that's on my Righteous Fire character, so I don't do a lot of MFing. I'm not a very efficient player, as you can probably see by the way I map. Oh, nice. Double 6 links. Come on. There's a dissolution of flesh. And as soon as it wears off after 4 seconds, we just hit our war cry and bam, we're up to full health. If I do play this anymore, I'll probably change a lot of stuff on there. I may add an aura, but I don't want to lose too much of the life. I'm not going to change the dissolution of flesh jewel. I'm going to keep that in there because it's part of the build. I've not seen too many builds with using it, so I thought this would be the one to use it because, you know, Gruthkul's pelt, no spells. I thought it'd be a nice addition to the build. Let's do this. Strongbox, freeze, cast nova, boom. I definitely need a new weapon, although at this low level of maps, it is wiping through everything. I am killing everything again just to get that gem XP in to get some level ups. I don't want to hit too high maps and be left out XP wise. And there we go. Fun little build. I don't know if you'd call it a meme build because it does technically work. But yeah, oh, and if you the reason I sell those separately because if you sell them together being the same item, you get 1 orb of chance rather than 2 divine orbs. So, and there we go. That's the build. It is actually called the Gruthkul meme. My profile is open, so if you want the full build, you can grab it from my profile, create your own POB, and go from there. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe in Rogue Harbour.